Hey guys, it's Mac Ruiz and Jerry Delemus, and we are looking at China Uncensored, talking about huge protests over zero COVID lockdown in Guangzhou. Let's go ahead and get this thing started, and like and subscribe, comment down below.
So, you know who really loves tracking people? The Chinese Communist Party. They're especially keeping an eye out for anyone who has COVID, might have COVID, or lives in the same city as anyone who has COVID. They even have Big Brother drones flying around to intimidate people. In the manufacturing hub of Guangzhou, they found 3,700 COVID cases through their mass testing campaign. Granted, the vast majority of those people had no symptoms. And all those cases are still less than a 20th of 1% of the city's population. But rules are rules, so authorities placed the entire city of 13 million people under lockdown last week. Turns out that was a stupid thing to do. Not just because it's a bazooka to kill a mosquito type situation, but because people in Guangzhou revolted. It started with people singing about loving freedom. By the way, that song about loving freedom is a popular Hong Kong protest song, so I bet the Communist Party loved that. Then people tore down the COVID barricades that had kept them inside their apartment buildings, and they destroyed COVID testing centers. I guess tearing down the tools of oppression looks different in the 2020s. But protesting COVID restrictions is bad. You're supposed to follow the rules. So authorities came out to teach people a lesson. You can hear what sounds like some kind of shot being fired. There are rumors that police may have shot at least one protester. It's not clear whether those rumors are true. There's also this footage of a protester in Guangzhou getting his neck stepped on. What makes this a big deal is that people in China have no right to protest. The consequences of protesting are severe, and yet the zero COVID policy is so awful that people are protesting anyway. Maybe they don't know how dangerous it is to protest until it's too late. If only the Communist Party taught people history instead of covering it up. And after the break, world leaders play nice with Xi Jinping at the G20.
All right, what do you think?
Wow. Well, I think I saw Dr. Fauci down there in one of those videos and with his white lab coat. It's amazing because people are human and they have that ability to think, and even when they're programmed, when it gets too much, they'll stand up and eventually. But who's to say what's too much?
Right.
And the problem with China is they come down so hard on them, and they'll come back and lock everybody up. They'll go by and have video footage of them, go drag them out of their workplace or their home, and then lock them up. They'll be the end of them because they can do without a whole bunch of people because they've got so many.
Right.
It's a terrible thing. It takes great courage to stand up in a country that's gone that far to the left, because it is.
Right.
It's a communist country and it's tyrannical.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what do you think about? I mean, because if a single case of COVID in a city can determine whether or not that city or region goes into absolute complete lockdown, what does that got to be doing to the Chinese economy?
Well, it can't be helping, but the pay over there isn't all that great, anyways, for the people.
And better than it was. They make a lot more now. Because most of their jobs are getting shipped to India now. That's the new joke.
Well, I'll tell you what I think is that how far off of that attitude were people in our government. That very same attitude that the communist government had is on the lockdowns. And because did they really give a shit about in our country about the people losing their jobs, losing their homes?
No, not at all.
Losing
not even a little bit.
Businesses. There's businesses in my town there were great businesses that are gone now because of it. Yeah. And I'm sure nobody from the government's knocking on their door going, "Oh, can we give you a handout and help you out?" Because we really put the screws to you.
Right.
and when we stripped all your constitutional rights away from you, I mean, they're shutting down our churches and everything else. You can only have so many people over for
Right.
Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever.
No, what they did is they offered predatory loans through the SBA.
Yeah, well, it'll come back and bite you later. So the Chinese, but they've been suffering it for a long time.
Yeah.
The ironic thing is that those people out there protesting on that, wanting some freedom, singing that song of freedom, like the Hong Kong song that we watched happen when Hong Kong got when China bailed on their agreement with Britain, and then imprisoned the protesters, if you will, and the people who wanted freedom over there, and we did nothing.
Right.
Nothing. We preach freedom and everything, but we do nothing once somebody goes out and seeks it. And I think America is gonna get. I think we're in for some real hard times here, and I think we're gonna get what we put out there for the rest of the world. I think we're gonna be on the receiving end of that. And these Chinese people, I don't think the Chinese government's fearful of being overthrown, because they're gonna crush them. They're just gonna crush them. And
you think
the
that
leaders? They'll find. Yeah.
Do you
they'll
think
find
that
the leaders of those groups and they'll crush them? Yeah.
Do you think
absolutely.
that if the Chinese people in mass start to revolt, is there any way you can stop 4.5 billion Chinese?
I don't think that many will protest, to be honest with you. And,
right, but even think about it. If 1% protests, that's a lot of people. That's 400. What I think 45 million.
Well, coups happen.
No.
I mean,
45 million.
1%.
Yeah.
450. Yeah, I think that probably was about right. But that's their ability to communicate with each other isn't all that great, because the Chinese government. I mean, not that there aren't ways around that.
Right.
But the Chinese government's really got their finger on the control buttons.
Right. But when you see like armies down below, and you're like, "What are you guys protesting?" Like it'll be so visible. That's in my head. I'm trying to think of, what does this look like? Like, you could have 1% of the population here protest, and you wouldn't maybe ever see one. But you have 1% in
2 million
China.
people in Washington, D.C. in 2009, and none of the major news media covered it at all.
Right. Now, but imagine
who covers
45 million people. There's just so many bodies in such a smaller area, because the amount of areas that are actually populated in China is a lot smaller. Yeah, it's just big cities, really packed. So when you see 45 million people walking, it's going to shut cities down.
Well, maybe maybe that'll happen.
I have a little hope. I guess I have hope for the Chinese people to get in there and actually start messing stuff up. It'll definitely do us a lot of good.
Well, the problem is, like when the Chinese students come over here, and how much of them are picking up freedom and then taking it back? There are some that are.
Right.
We had
no, most of them just stay here. They don't go back.
Yeah, that's right. And I know some.
Yeah, me too.
Stayed here and love freedom and love the Constitution, and are warning us, hey, look, you're going the way that we went, and you better stop. And I've heard that from a number of people who are under communist dictators, and spoken in depth with them.
Yeah.
And I know China's got big guns, big army, huge army, and they control everything, and it'd be an uphill fight. I mean, coups happen, and I think America was enduring a coup d'etat when Trump was in the White House, and just before he went in. I think that there was an actual coup that was taking place, and trying to unseat him so that he wouldn't, and because he was talking America First stuff, and that doesn't wash with some. So I mean, you look at the struggle we're having here in America, trying to get things right, voting and all those things, and just when the government, those in control, you got the DOJ and all that when they rig things and judges rig things, is that it makes it nearly impossible to find justice.
Right.
And the Chinese are. I guarantee you that most of the judges over there
Yeah.
and the people in the government over there
It's
align
all
with
for
the
the government.
CCP.
100%.
Yeah,
Otherwise, you wouldn't have
yeah.
that job.
Well, and they're gonna grease those skids for those guys some,
Yeah.
more than they are certainly the working people.
Right.
So they've got a lot more to lose. And
Yeah.
it's I don't know. It was great to see that. It's a wonder, why doesn't America's news media pick that story up and play that story?
That's why I'm
Why
putting
isn't
it on
that?
our
It's the
channel
first time I've
because,
seen it.
right.
When
That's why
when was his video? Do you know?
this was new.
Yeah.
So he just Uncensored just posted it 2 days ago.
So here it is how obviously they smuggled it out. They had to smuggle it out, however they smuggle it via.
So it's pretty
electron.
easy now with VPNs.
Mhm.
You know, once you put a VPN on, you can get it out and you can have access to a lot of other internets that you
Yep.
normally wouldn't. And with cell signals, and you avoid hard lines, you go to the satellite.
Yep.
Even the CCP does struggle trying to not get this in, to keep pure information control. So
That is tough. Yeah, that's tough. Like the Wizard of Oz,
yeah.
Damn dog pulled the curtain back, and exposed him. So, hey, what was this guy's name again and his site? That
It is what his name is. I have no idea, but this is China Uncensored.
Name. It's China what?
Yeah, China Uncensored. I could play back
China
just
Uncensored.
right at the beginning when he introduces himself.
Massive protest.
See if we see here. Right here somewhere.
You probably
Chris
Sherrill.
Chris
Sherrill?
Chappelle.
Chappelle.
Let me see here. Chappelle. Chris Chappelle.
Chappelle.
China Uncensored.
Interesting. Yeah, it'll be interesting to keep an eye on that.
Yeah,
and
I'm going to continue putting videos up from his channel because it is something that I don't think enough people in our country are seeing. It is important to see the news, especially in a country like China that is, it is an enemy. So
why do you think, Mac, that the Chinese government feels that about COVID, that if there's anybody who has a case or around somebody who had a case, that they're going to lock down a city like that? If it's even such a small percentage of people even having it, what do you think the motivation of the Chinese government is for doing?
100% control. It's fear.
Right.
It's fear and control, right?
Yeah.
You
drones overhead.
Yeah, I mean, how dystopian can you get as drones with loudspeakers overhead?
Yeah. The Chinese, when we're fighting them in Korea, because we fought actually Chinese in Vietnam as well,
Yeah. Because they were feeding North Korea.
Yeah.
Or North Korea, and they were feeding the North Vietnam.
That's exactly right. And North Korea is if it hadn't been for the Chinese invading coming into that war in mass, is we had them locked down pretty good.
Yeah.
But they would put out lots of loudspeaker type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to brainwash. There's a whole lot of that type of stuff going on, mind control, if you will,
right?
To a point, they're and if their people turn around and didn't go fight, they'd shoot them.
Right. Yeah.
That's that's the way they are, and it's tough. This is why we've got to be so careful with who we allow to have control over the steering wheel of our country.
Yeah.
We need to be a lot more cautious than we have been. That's
yeah,
absurd.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
All right, guys, if you like that content, comment down below. Give us some links of stuff that you guys would like us to look at, go over, discuss. Like and subscribe. See you guys on the next one.